Hey there everybody, my name is Gage. I use the they series pronouns. I'm a practicum student at the LGBTQ Pride Center here at Texas A&M, and I'm so excited to have you on our next installment for the Rainbow Relaxin Days events. Have your cake and eat it too. Today I'll be making a vegan chocolate cake from scratch and you can follow along with me. So I know finals have been happening, mine have been wild stressful, so I would love to enjoy a nice piece of chocolate cake to just unwind from the semester. So we're gonna start in the bowl. I have 1 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour. You can sift it if you want, but I don't own a sifter. And then to that, I'm gonna add 1 1/4 cups of sugar. Easy. And then to that, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 3/4 teaspoons of baking powder. Make sure we get all of that out. Don't want our cake to be flat. And then I'm going to add 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt. Once that is done, we're going to give that a little whisk to make sure everything is incorporated and nice and evenly distributed. Okay, and now that this is all mixed up, we're going to add in 1/2 cups of cocoa powder. Unsweetened, I prefer dark, but I didn't have any on hand and I wasn't trying to run to the store in a pandemic. So we're now going to mix that up all together. You want this to be pretty much brown with no specks of white left in there from the unmixed flour. Now that this is mixed, we're gonna take 3/4 cups of oil and 1/2 cup of applesauce and just a teaspoon of vanilla and whisk that up until it's nice and homogeneous, or all the same. All right, now that we're back and our applesauce oil mixture looks pretty much like runny applesauce, we're gonna pour that directly into our dry ingredients, which if you don't want to do this step, you can package up the dry ingredients and leave them for a later date, and it's a little box cake mix ready to go. We'll take our handy dandy rubber spatula and just incorporate all of our dry ingredients with our wet until they form sort of a brownie batter texture. So this might take a second, no big deal. Just make sure all the flour is folded in, and it should kind of look like that. So now that we're done with this, I'm gonna go ahead and heat up on the stove a cup of milk. I'm using oat milk. You can use any kind you want. The important thing here is to make sure that it's just at a simmer. You do not want to boil it. That'll mess with your cake and then you'll have just a really not pleasant time. Ignore that. I'm gonna bring it over and I'm gonna pour it directly into my mix of wet and dry ingredients. And then stir this to where it is no longer lumpy, but it's very important that we don't overmix this. That will, I think, develop some of the extra glutens. I'm not a professional chef. And your cake will end up pretty chewy. All right, so this looks pretty great. It is going to be a very runny batter, that is okay. We're gonna pour this directly into our already prepared 9-inch springform pan. I spread a little oil on the sides and then just traced a circle in parchment paper. Put that right in the bottom. So we're gonna go ahead, pour that right into the center, and make sure we're scraping out all the sides. We want as much cake as possible. All right, and now that is done, I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the center rack of a 325-degree Fahrenheit oven for about 40 minutes, checking it then and seeing if it needs a little extra time in the oven. And now we wait. All right, so now that our cake is in the oven, we are going to prepare our icing. So I am making this for people who cannot eat coconut. So I did not substitute some of the vegan options, but in this pan I have 4 ounces of chocolate chips and 1/2 cup of heavy cream. If you can't have heavy cream, any reason, go ahead and get a can of coconut cream, refrigerate that overnight, and you can use that just the same. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put this on a double boiler, so that way I can melt this and get it all nice. If you don't have a double boiler, totally fine. Toss it in the microwave, 30-second intervals. You don't wanna burn the chocolate here, you just wanna get everything incorporated. So let's do that. Almost done, just getting some of the lumps out. And then we will let this cool for about 25 minutes or until it is cool to the touch. So one once your cake is out of the oven and a toothpick comes out clean, you'll let it cool in the pan on a wire rack. Clearly I've already done that. It's cool to the touch. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pop the springform out. You don't need to use a springform pan. I just do because it's easy and I love to bake. And then you're going to go and just invert this onto your wire rack and take off the bottom, including the layer of parchment paper. And then bam, you have a cake ready to ice. All right, so while our ganache is cooling, that's the chocolate cream mixture that we just made, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the rest of the icing. So to a stand mixer, you can use anything other than a stand mixer as well. I'm gonna add 4 ounces of room temperature cream cheese. Again, a lot of vegan cream cheese alternatives have coconut in them, so I am choosing to avoid those. You can totally do that, whatever suits your fancy. And then to the cream cheese, I'm also going to add a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. Stand mixer, I have my 4 ounces of cream cheese, 1/4 cup of powdered sugar, 3/4 teaspoons of vanilla, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I'm gonna mix this on high until there's absolutely no lumps in the cream cheese. Just scrape down the sides of the bowl if you need to. If you're using your hands, just make sure it's absolutely super creamy. Vegan cream cheese alternatives work just the same. I've tried this before at home. So yeah, that's that. Now we wait for the ganache to cool. All right, our chocolate ganache has been cooling for a significant amount of time. It is cool to the touch, so I'm gonna go ahead and pour it into our fluffy cream cheese, powdered sugar, vanilla goodness. Get all of that in there. This looks super yummy. I'm so excited. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix this on medium until stiff peaks form. As you can see, the icing is almost there. I'm scraping down the sides just to make sure that I get all the cream cheese and icing incorporated with the ganache. I'm getting this lovely, fluffy chocolate icing. Now, if you're using coconut cream, it might require a little bit of extra powdered sugar just to get it to this perfect stiff peak, but that can easily be fixed when you're mixing. But once your icing is to a consistency that you like, all you're gonna do is scoop some out right onto your cake, right in the center, spread it around, make it look real pretty, or however you want, as long as it's tasty. All right, that is a vegan chocolate cake with not so vegan chocolate icing. If you loved this content and wanna see more, feel free to drop a like, comment, hit subscribe, even that bell button for notifications whenever we post. My name is Gage, a practicum student with the LGBTQ Pride Center, and this is Have Your Cake, and Eat It Too.